All right, so
the one saying it.
It is not everybody.
The MP for Kwadaso, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, was seen putting an envelope on the table in front of 2 electoral officials during the Ejisu by-election. That's the video on the screen. A Joy News reporter was doing his work, and then we saw behind him Kingsley Nyako putting his hand in his pocket and taking out a white envelope and then putting it there. In front of the EC officials. There was an interview after he did this, asking him exactly what was in the envelope and what that was about. And he explained that he was not doing anything untoward to corrupt the process of the by-election that was happening in Ejisu. He also said that it was a document. The EC came out to tell us that following their preliminary investigations, they found that in the envelope there was money, which this member of parliament had given to the electoral officials for lunch. They had gone on, the EC that is, to remove these 2 temporary electoral officials from the electoral process on Tuesday. The NPP have defended what Dr. Kingsley Nyako did, saying that we are in Ghana. There's nothing wrong with being generous to people who are doing their work, and that it was not a bribe, properly so called. Ladies, you've followed this issue, I'm very sure. I'll start with you, Ellen.
Well, I am not too happy about the fact that Honorable Kingsley Nyako dropped the envelope. If he wanted to help them out with something, I'm sure there were other ways he could have done it. But whether it was a bribe, I don't think it is a bribe, because when you're bribing, you will not do so in the full glare of everybody. But it was definitely in an election that was quite, the accusations floating about money being shared and all that. I don't think it was a good thing to do that. He might not have any ill intention, but as we can all see, it's turned out to be whatever it was.
The NDC is calling for his arrest.
They should go and arrest him. They should report him to the police so that the police arrest him. But the EC did very well by quickly going to look at what was going on and removing the 2 people. It tells us that the electoral processes from the EC, we can be assured that if they get the reports on time, they would actually work on it. Whether it is true or not, whether there was money in it or not.
The EC say there was money.
Well, I honestly don't think that Honorable Kingsley Nyako was looking at bribing anybody. But I think buying lunch for them, I think that it is also in poor taste. It is a very poor taste and a very bad decision to put out the envelope. If the NDC thinks that he has to be arrested, as I said, they know the processes of reporting crimes.
Do you agree that he should be arrested?
I don't think so. I don't think he had any ill motive for doing what he did. Why they think he should be arrested, they should go and report to the police and let the police arrest him.
Yes, they have actually called on the police to arrest him.
So let's see. If the police have evidence, let them arrest him.
My question to you as a party is that, seeing what Dr. Kingsley Nyako did as a responsible party, what's your position? You have said that you don't think that it was a bribe, but it looks like it could have been a bribe, because during the electoral process, when you give money to electoral officials,
an MP of his standing would publicly bribe people. When he saw all those reporters, everybody was there, cameras all over the place, and if you really want to bribe somebody to do something for you, that was where you do the bribing.
What does it look like?
I think that I believe personally that maybe he was actually buying them lunch, as he said. But my problem is, you can buy them lunch without doing this, dropping an envelope on the table. I don't think it was in good taste for him to do that. Did it disrupt the elections? I don't think so. The elections went as it should. So if somebody thinks that he has committed a crime, that is why the police is there. They can report him.
I see. For those of you sending me messages about Kingsley Nyako, I promise I'll try to read as many as possible before we wrap up the segment. Now, Ellen says that if you think that it was a bribe, go ahead and arrest him. But you don't think that it was so.
I don't think so, because if you want to bribe, you do not come and bribe in the open.
Yes, but the point, Ellen, is that when a member of parliament, during an election, approaches electoral officials with an envelope with money, and you say that it's for lunch, there are more questions than answers here. And if you say that he will not bribe them openly, why is he buying them lunch? Is it the responsibility of the member of parliament to buy lunch for the EC?
Should come and tell us, or they should ask those two people what went on. Maybe their food had delayed. Maybe they had told him they were hungry.
Was he buying lunch for everybody who was hungry?
I have no idea.
Exactly.
We just saw that footage, and I'm saying that I do not think it's a bribe, because if you're going to be bribing somebody to do anything untoward in an election, you will not do it in broad daylight with cameras all over you. But I still believe that it was in poor taste to drop the envelope like it did, and it was bad judgment.
Well, he should have done it another way.
Well, however, if it is lunch you want to buy them, I'm sure he could have bought the physical food. What about that? Bought the food for them with water and everything. Would we have had a problem if that was what he was doing, was dropping food and water? Would that also be considered as a bribe?
Aisha?
No.
Yes.
So, in your opening remarks or analysis, whatever, you made mention that the MP, Dr. Kingsley Nyaku, in an interview, said that he dropped an envelope.
A document.
A document, yes, an envelope containing a document and no money. Is that not what he said?
That's what he said.
Then the EC comes out to contradict his stance and said he gave them money for lunch. If indeed he meant well, if indeed that money was not to bribe the EC officials, why wasn't he truthful from the word go? Why would he say it was a document and no money? Oh, I gave them money because probably their food had delayed. Probably they told me they were hungry. But he denied it was money and said it was a document. Then preliminary investigation says that it was money and not a document as he claimed. Then again he came and said, even if it was money, why can't I give money? This is clearly a person who was up to no good and has been caught. He didn't know the camera had been set right behind him when he was giving the money to the EC officials. He didn't know. He didn't even realize it. He thought he was going to, do it Nicodemously and get away with it. Little did he know the camera had been set and he was being captured. You see, and I'm very disappointed in the EC. Though they came out swiftly, in their press release, they mentioned the names of the two electoral officers, Regina Sewa and George Sasu. One a ballot issuer and the other a presiding officer. Yet they refused to mention the name of the said MP. They refused to mention the name. They said a gentleman. Meanwhile, we all saw the man. We all knew he's an MP and we all knew he's Dr. Kingsley Nyaku, MP for Kwadaso. Yet in their press release, they did everything possible to take his name out completely. Now, I can bet you that if this were an NDC MP, oh, you would have seen how this whole press release would have been, carved. How it would have been carved and how it would have been presented to Ghanaians. EC do this, and they want us to believe that they are going to conduct a free and fair elections in this country. They are going to be neutral referees in this country. And you see, in a rush to come and trivialize this whole thing, to tell us that, oh, it was a lunch that he gave to the two electoral officers, they put out the first press release with 30th April, Friday, 30th April. Was yesterday, when was the...
Tuesday.
Was Tuesday, Friday. Quickly, they had to change the press release and did it Tuesday, 30th April. All in a rush to come and trivialize the issue. You see, and it's not even just about the EC not putting out Honorable Kingsley Nyaku's name. But then, even 7 hours after voting, this EC could not declare results.
That's a different matter.
Yes, and I'm developing a point gradually. 7 hours. Look, your station.
We don't have a lot of
station
time.
waited and waited and waited.
Yes.
They had to go off.
Yes,
and
we waited
they could
past
not
10
even
p.m.
tell us. Yes, they could not even tell us the outcome of a single constituency election results. They couldn't tell us.
Yes.
Why should it be so? Is that a preparation the EC is making towards the 2024 elections? If a single constituency, it had to take 7 good hours for them to be able to declare. You see, and it's sad that the communications director of the NPP, confidently put on his wall that he was proud of Dr. Kingsley Nyaku for what he did and that he was generous. Dr. Kingsley Nyaku didn't have hungry people in his constituency. So he came all the way from Kwadaso to Ejisu to come and feed hungry electoral officers. And you want us to believe this cock and bull stories. That indeed he was being generous and he wasn't bribery.
All right, Aisha.
You see, some of these stories should be told to the Marines.
All right, Aisha. Good morning. Now, the issue of Honorable Kingsley Nyaku bribing the EC is of concern to all of us. We are lucky that the cameraman at that time was able to get a coverage of the incident. I'm wondering how many of the same incidents occurred in other polling stations which were not captured. Let's forget the EC wouldn't take any action if there was no proof on live television. And that's from Ambassador Toxler. Good morning. Now, it looks like Ellen has lessons on bribery 101. Since when did MP start providing lunch for EC officials in an election? Has the EC stopped feeding its officials? The actions of Kingsley Nyaku and the EC is a tip of the iceberg of, I will not read the rest of that. Nanaya, I give you the rest of the time.
Yes, thank you, my dear. And before I continue, let me say good morning to the former PC of Cape Coast of the CPP, Frank Amuna, and also good morning to my comrade and friend, Nani Kuyavle. You see, now this is arrogance of power. I mean, the NPP has gotten to a point where they don't care what they do anymore. Ethics is thrown to the dogs. And whatever they will do to get to power, they will do. And this is a micro, the word is not even coming, a micro show of what will happen in 2024, 7 December.
Well, MPs will be buying lunch for EC officials.
But this is not lunch. What lunch is that? Why didn't he come with packs? At the polling stations, what we normally do is that you bring packs.
It's something that is done.
Oh, yeah, food. I mean, your own people, your polling agents.
I see.
Do you get me? You give it to your polling agents.
But these were electoral officials.
They are returning officers who are counting. So why do you give money to somebody who is counting? And why should even the results delay? 7 hours. What were they doing? It shouldn't have even been accepted in the first place. God, Ejisu is not a big place. So what happened? Why those 2 people? Is it possible that they had bribed everybody and it was left with 2 people?
They say it was not a bribe.
It is what?
Lunch.
What kind of lunch? If you want lunch, you can buy packed food. I believe there's packed food in this thing. Even that one is not acceptable because the EC themselves in their budget have a line item for feeding their officers. So why should you, a member of parliament of the party that is contesting the election, do what? Give money. Did anybody ask him to provide lunch?
He was being generous.
What kind of generosity is that?
That's what the party says.
There are so many children on the streets who don't have homes, who are homeless, who are hungry. He should extend his generosity to them because that one, God will bless him. This is a manipulation of the election. And we should all take it seriously. It's a manipulation and it is a micro show of what is going to happen in 2024. And you see, they shouldn't think that we should allow it to.
You don't think it's an isolated incident?
What is isolated? My dear, I'm saying that why those 2 people? Is it a case that they've given everybody and it was left with only 2? No, I'm serious. Why those 2 people? And I don't think that he thought anybody would see. He wouldn't have done it. But God is always watching, So somebody filmed him. If he knew somebody was looking at him, he wouldn't have done it. He took it out of his pocket and Nicodemously gave it to the person. And the lady too collected it because they know there is a contractual agreement that whatever happens, you give me money. What kind is a disgrace to the EC?
Do you think the EC
we should disinfect the EC
this well?
No, who didn't handle it well?
Do you think the EC handled
You
this
see, that
well?
is not the point. There's so much against the EC now. Jean Mensa should start disinfecting her office before we go into election 2024. Because if she doesn't do that, the results that will come out will not be credible. We were here when machines were stolen, laptops were stolen, and now people are being bribed. Now, she should do a disinfection of her office. It is key. I think all of us should come into it, take the politics out of it, and make sure that EC does the right thing. EC should not have a way. Because you see, this one, you can't say, oh, they are just officers. What kind of culture have they been oriented into?
That's
that
our
they,
time.
That is, they can take a bribe. No, I'm saying that going forward, I think we should look at EC properly. The same way Professor Jenana said that she's looking at the EC. And we believe that the EC should be disinfected.
All right. Thank you so much, Nanaya. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Ellen, for coming in. Thank you for sending in your messages. I read as many as I could. This has been big issues on TV3 New Day. Still to come is our relationship and lifestyle segment. We have a very serious matter before us, and Cookie will lead that discussion. Stay tuned.